Hi there, Mr. T here again from the Dominican Republic. In this episode, we're going to look into how to deal with and handle the people when you're down here. A lot of people have arrived here in the past a little bit naive and got themselves into all sorts of troubles legally, financially, accidents and more. It's a different culture here. So you got to know how to handle the police, deal with the beggars, the hustlers, people in the customer service trade and more. So let's get started. Let's first look into the things that could naturally frustrate the daylights out of you because of the differences between how it is here and how it is back where you came from. I'm talking about you may be used to the internet being fast and always on 24/7. Well, that ain't the case here. You might be used to the electricity being on 24/7 and that ain't the case here. There's some backup things you got to do to make that happen. People stopping in the traffic to have a talk to their good friend Jose while they hold the traffic up for a whole queue of cars behind them, not caring. And the list goes on, but we're going to look into these. There's three things you can do when you're faced with these kind of frustrations. You can either come to accept it, you can avoid it, or you can find solutions to these things. So now I'm going to cover each one separately. After that, we'll look into the whole aspect of communicating with the locals.
In the Middle East, you may be woken up by religious prayers 5 a.m. in the morning. Over here, from about 8 a.m., it's the noisy scrap metal guy who comes around. So what's the solution to this noise? Well, you can either just put up with it, since he's only coming around 2 to 3 times per week for a matter of seconds, or you can give him a tip for not yelling in the speaker when he's passing your property. Or alternatively, buy some double glazed windows for your place. Don't be surprised if a construction starts next to where you either rent or own a property, and usually there'll be no warnings given by the neighbours or landowners. If they have the permits, off they go. There's going to be noises from trucks, well drilling equipment, angle grinders, hammers and more. You'll hear yelling from workers from early morning right through to the evening as they rarely talk but instead choose to yell. When the workers cook their food on site or burn their rubbish, then don't expect them to be considerate of where the smoke may drift off to. And if your place just happens to be downwind from the fire, then you might just get smoked out of house and home. Also expect rubbish will be thrown anywhere in the streets and neighbouring areas, and the construction workers will also conduct their toilet visits anywhere they can find a private spot, even at neighbouring properties. Occasionally there are thefts and burglaries near construction sites, as even though the majority of these workers are very good people, then there's sometimes a handful of them who get too tempted to commit robberies when they get access to nice residential areas and see people living in modern homes and luxury villas. And at night time, these villas sometimes get hit with burglaries. Especially be careful of renting or buying properties near open fields, as burglars are more prone to hit these as they can escape fast and unnoticed. To conclude this topic, before you rent or buy, make sure you check as to what constructions are either happening or due to soon start up. And if you do find yourself in a situation of dealing with a neighbouring construction, then try to politely ask their supervisors to address any issues that might be causing you frustration.
Banca Real y su sala de juego, la que siempre paga.
When it comes to noises in towns or cities, don't be surprised to hear people yelling out loud, noises of fast motorbikes roaring past you, political, promotional and religious vans and more. So either acquire yourself some good earplugs or find yourself a place way out of town where it's nice and tranquil. One thing's for sure, the Dominicans who choose to be noisy will remain noisy. In a local gas station, I came across a group of guys who were displaying their vehicle's big sound systems. Overseas it's usually young men in their late teens who engage in this. But here it's not unusual to find Dominican men up to the ages of 35 to 40 engaging in this hobby. Before you rent or buy a place in a gated community, I suggest you first check the areas for party villas, which are a big nuisance for working family with children as they need their sleep to get up early in the morning. These villas are often rented out short-term by local agents to party people from either overseas or other towns, and they'll crank the stereo till 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, any day of the week, in an otherwise peaceful gated community. However, nationwide, people can now call 911 to complain about excessive noises, or for a few hundred pesos, you can call your local police around and get it shut down.
Now this video is obviously about handling frustrations down here, but on the other side there's a lot of wonderful things. And if you're going to either rent or buy down here, you want a place that's very tranquil and secure. It couldn't be nicer than where I'm standing here, which is the Las Cañas Apart Hotel, just in the hills above Sosua. And there's even a police general living here, so you will be safe. Take a look at this. Now, one of the things that really frustrates a lot of the foreigners who's come down here in the past, or the ones that are living here now, is the economy. If somebody needs to make a living here to survive, it's probably one of the toughest places in the world. Some of the silly decisions from everything I've learned here that the government has made, and big business people, have taken all the investments down to Punta Cana, and many airlines are only flying down there now. So the economy's gone down, down, down year after year here on the north coast. So if you are going to come here to make a living, my suggestion is set up an income before you arrive here. Whether that's you working from the internet down here and supporting some company back overseas, or whether it's a pension, a benefit, or whatever. But if you try to hunt the money down here, you better have a lot of money or capital to invest to start with, or have a real brilliant idea, which most people unfortunately don't seem to have. But only if you have enough money, like everywhere else, can you keep the dice in paradise and enjoy it.
The Dominican Republic is certainly no welfare state, and for many years their government's been accused of being corrupt, so the people have come to learn that nobody's coming to their rescue. So if they don't find a way to bring in the money, then they'll get skinny kids and won't pay their bills. So over here you'll find a lot of micro-entrepreneurs selling everything from duster brushes, sunglasses, clothing, shoes, fruit, vegetables and much more. So you will get approached if you come down here, as all they want to do is make a living. And when you do get approached, then it's of no use getting upset with these vendors, as this kind of disrespect towards them would seem just as rude as if you got upset with every worker you met in your home country for doing their job. Down here, if you don't wish to buy their product, simply give them a friendly smile and say no gracias and move on with your day. That usually works. I've been to much pushier places in my life, like Barcelona in Spain, where vendors will follow you for hundreds of meters, ignoring 20 plus no's and still not get the message that you're not interested. At least that never happens down here.
This is similar to melon.
Once you've visited a country like this a few times, then you come to appreciate the hard-working product vendors from the hardcore money hustlers who just like sticking their hands out, begging for money, and often lying about their situation. Dominican Republic is no different from most other countries, where you can find areas with lots of caring, romantic, loving, hard-working, relationship-oriented people, and then there's the ghettos. The ghettos over here are usually the tourist areas, where a certain character of guys and ladies flock in from all over the country to try to get money from the foreigners in any way possible. As the proverb goes, to be forewarned is to be forearmed. And whatever type of tourist you consider yourself to be, in these beach areas, one thing is for sure, you're definitely entering a ghetto. And like in all other ghettos, some are into theft, and even though most of the hustlers are not, then all of them are world champions at telling little white lies, making you feel sorry for their situation in order to get the maximum amount of money, drinks, food, cigarettes and other things from you.
Happy hour tonight!
They're also some of the best actors and actresses you'll ever come across, who will spin a story out of their sleeve in a split second about sick grandmothers, their pet cat that needs new braces, a guinea pig that needs new dress shoes, or whatever story they need to come up with to make you feel sorry for them. Most of the ladies who come to these tropical ghettos have also been nicknamed Western Union girls, as they regularly visit the Western Union office to receive payments from various overseas boyfriends. The guys who fall in love with these street girls usually think they've met a real angel and tell their friends, "No, I think this one's different. She's desperate to get off the street and own her own salon." And he only wakes up and smells the rotten apple when a friend later on sends him a picture of her out working the streets lining up the next few suckers. By that time she's usually milked him for quite a sum of money, maybe even a business, and is already rolling over the next naive love hunter. Now if you happen to be looking for love and you're planning on coming to the Dominican Republic for it, well then it's the same as everywhere else in the world. You're better off getting to know some good people who can help you meet other good people and inform you about their lives and characters, or meet some individuals who are focused on sports, business, dancing, arts or activities that require some ambition to stick at it. This way you are, in my opinion, more likely to find someone decent and committed. If you instead fall into the trap of falling in love with these exotic beauties and handsome dudes, then you may just end up in a pile of frustrating trouble that you didn't really want to get entangled in the first place. You'll find a very active party life, so if you do come here, then make sure to reach out for some advice from the experienced expats who will help you have a good time while still staying safe. The many reasons why men and women flock down to this tropical paradise can vary, of course, and this Canadian traveller Matteo explained his reasons.
The reason why, as an individual, such as I am, I come here for many reasons, but the most is to find beautiful young women, that, okay, you could fall in love if you wanted to. My advice is no, because they're professional, they need money, but the true reason why I'm here is because they make me feel so young. In Canada, where I come from, sometimes I say hello to some beautiful young thing. She's looking at me like pervert. It's like that's stupid. That's crazy. I only want a little bit of attention. Oh, hello, and then they can go back to their mummies. It's fine by me. But here, oh no, here's beautiful. Here we have the most beautiful women on earth, literally the most beautiful, and yet, example, she came here because it's her birthday just to see me, to say hello, because her sister is my friend, right? So she makes me feel so young, so appreciated. How in the hell I have to come here. I have no other choice if I want to feel young again. And my age is about 150, so you can figure it out how I feel.
I interviewed a Dominican gentleman called Angel, who explained about the prejudgments made by many foreigners about who's considered to be prostitutes and who's the regular hard-working ladies in their society.
One thing that the majority of the people are completely confused is that they think that the girl from our area here, local areas, are prostitutes. They are not. Prostitutes, they come from all over the country. They come from Santiago, they come from Santo Domingo. But if you go in our city, in those countryside of our city, you realize the kind of girls that we have. They have a big heart. They are girls that you can make a family because they are not the one that people think that they are in the street. No, those people, those girls are really valuable girls that we consider them in our society to be very respectful.
Whether it's day or night, don't be surprised to come across street kids. They'll approach you, rub their tummies, and hustle you for money. They're usually sent out in the streets by their parents to beg for money, and if you offer them some food like an apple or banana, then they'll usually get rude, as food was not really what they wanted to use the money for in the first place. Hopefully one day the government with their police will start applying correct law enforcement and fix this problem, amongst several others.
One thing people tell me over here that they are frustrated about is not seeing musicians or artists being able to express themselves in the streets. I've travelled around the world to Surfers Paradise, Australia, Spain, Hawaii and other places, and every 50 meters down a walking street you see people performing or making art, and they have their hat out in front of them making a bit of money. Over here, you'll get arrested. Why? Because the police are always looking for ways to make an extra buck. They're paid very little, and the type of people they seem to be recruiting are quick to arrest people and abuse their uniform and their power. So you better not bring your saxophone over here and start playing on the street. Shame.
In Dominican Republic, there's various types of police forces, some of them working with the military. And the most respected out of them, from what I've heard, seems to be the Highway Patrol Service, MOPC.
Buenas Alicia.
The two main police forces seen around here are Policía Nacional and Sestur. At least in Sosua, the police are unfortunately known not to be around when they're truly needed. And when they're not needed, they seem to be everywhere, usually with the focus on hustling for money, using their uniform and status to chase the ladies and the Haitians and shake down the odd tourist. Of course, stay clear of violence, drugs or dating underage persons. And try not to get into any accidents or commotion of any kind, as Dominicans usually stick together to get the gringos' money. And if the police does turn up and you are not fluent in Spanish, then often the foreigner will end up getting arrested even though he or she was actually the victim. When issues do occur between Dominicans, like in this case where the guy is held down in the sand and he was accused of stealing, then a lot of people usually feel the urge to either flock in to watch or to get involved in the action. Then there's usually a lot of loud debating going on with the police as to who needs to be locked up and who's going to go free. Unfortunately, in places like Sosua, the police's reputation is very grim, and they've been accused by many of having heavily involvement with crime rather than trying to resolve it. Many tourists and locals have reported being shaken down for money either on the spot or at ATMs to avoid going to jail for the silliest reasons imaginable. The expats here will tell you about many of the situations where they've been victimized by the police and seem to have no respect left for most of the officers in the area. One thing that you hear from tourists that really upsets them is when they have to watch pretty ladies near the clubs having to run in their stilettos to avoid being arrested by the police. It makes the tourists very mad to watch this, as they know that prostitution here in the DR is actually legal. Yet the ladies are hunted like cattle because the police prefer to get the money out of the ladies rather than having serious clashes with the guys who visit. Dominicans and Haitians who get unfairly arrested will often pay anything from $1,000 to $4,000 to get released, and foreigners up to tens of thousands, so again try your best not to get into trouble. If there's an accident and it's between Dominicans, then they usually resolve it very quick, but if there's a foreigner involved, then suddenly it's all about the money. So pay extra good attention here when driving so you don't have to experience any unwanted situations. At police roadblocks they will check your license, your tax sticker and your insurance, so try to have these in order, or if you get fined, try to negotiate it down a bit. I was fortunate to get to interview a foreigner who's now a police supervisor from Cabaretta to hear his angle on things.
Good morning, everybody. First of all, I'd like to point out that we do have a huge problem with foreigners. For a reason or another, they think when they're in La Republic Dominicana, which is a super great country, they don't have to respect the laws. Yet when they're in Canada and the US, they obey the laws to the letter. You know, they drive around on a motorcycle with no hats. They don't respect the people whatsoever. They're having problems with the girls. You know, old men running after young ladies, which is totally unacceptable, but it's still done. And you have the second problem, which occurs, is that a lot of foreigners do not respect the police. Why? Because they see the police harassing the girls. Well, we don't harass them. We eliminate or try to eliminate all the prostitution that there is, if possible, so that the foreigners are in security. Our main goal as chief of police in La Republic Dominicana and the people that work with me, my men, is to make sure that you, as a foreigner from Canada or the US, you are completely secured in La Republic Dominicana. So to help us, please do respect the laws as much as possible. Thank you very much.
The traffic police who wear the green uniforms are called AMET. They do have fixed points where they daily pull people over, but they also establish sudden roadside points where they go after motorbike drivers who don't wear helmets. They take the motorbikes off the owners and then haul them to a local AMET station, where the owner then has to come and pay a fine to get it released again. When driving a vehicle down here, you can either obtain a Dominican license, or if you're on a foreign license, then you can operate up to 90 days, after which they'll start asking a lot of questions if you're pulled over, and maybe even hold your vehicle back from you. In many countries like Canada, US and countries throughout Europe, most people are taught from a young age to respect and have empathy towards animals, and many are the same here. However, a large majority lack an empathy when it comes to animals being hit on the roads and highways, where cars and trucks will ignore the body and just keep running over it till there's nothing left of it. Certainly not for the faint-hearted. I've been to many countries in my lifetime. However, Dominican Republic is the only one I've ever experienced where a high percentage of drivers at night decide to drive with their high beams on, which in turn causes many deaths and accidents. Now, why would people here do this? Well, the conclusion I've come to is that these specific drivers have big egos and are simply too stubborn and disrespectful to care about other people's safety. And this especially proves to be true when you flick your lights at them and still they refuse to lower their high beams. Fortunately, I've found the only way to get the disrespectful drivers to lower their high beams is if you've got some seriously strong high beams yourself. And when you flick them on, down comes their lights. And I lower mine, and everybody stays alive. If you expect to receive electricity 24/7 with no issues, well, then you may be in for a surprise, all depending on where you choose to rent or buy. Some of the established gated communities have all the backup systems in place already, and when the power company suddenly cuts the power, then their generators kick in to compensate during the downtime. But in most cases, the backup for the power is something the homeowners or condo owners have to organize themselves, usually by investing in an inverter and a set of 4 to 8 batteries. One of the known scams the power company likes to pull on, especially the foreigners down here, is to lump an outstanding charge or fines from a previous account holder of that address onto your first power bill. And many newcomers have had to fight with the power company over tens of thousands of pesos through the corrupt actions of a company who has a monopoly. So make sure you check for any outstanding bills before you commit to opening an account. Many residents, both foreign and Dominican, complain that they haven't received street water for weeks or months, which then in the end forces them to either find the money to have a well installed involving drilling, pipes, pump and accessories, or they have to buy water by the truckload, costing between 2,000 to 4,000 pesos each time.
They are sending us each month the bill for it. So then I decided I don't pay if I don't get water.
This month alone, it's been really frustrating. I've only had 3 days of running water in my house. And I pay my rent, I pay everything else. When it comes down to water, that's a necessity of life. And I've had a lot of health issues, so I can't even go out and carry my own water back to my house. So I end up having to pay other people to bring me water when that's all supposedly included in my rent. And it's out of my landlord's hands. It's not really his fault, it's the town's fault. So what I've had to do is uproot myself and move into a new place where they actually have a well. I'm not the only one that has this problem. I've spoken to a lot of people, and it's an ongoing situation.
You'll hear many horror stories down here about vehicles hitting cattle or horses, which farmers had left running loose, therefore crossing roads and highways. And to defend themselves, the farmer often manages to hire a corrupt lawyer, then accusing the actual victim of ruthlessly having killed his cattle, and because of this, he now expects a huge compensation and jail time for the foreigner. Totally hypocritical, but that's how corruption sometimes shows its ugly head down here in such situations. Any foreigner who's been raised and educated in a country where littering is looked down upon, they'll find it off-putting to see people biffing garbage out the car windows, rubbish on the roadsides, beaches and elsewhere. Here you either come to accept that people litter, or you create an initiative or join some of the local ones to help do something about it. Here they do need a lot of rubbish bins and clean-up campaigns, but most of all they need some good old education as to why littering is bad for tourism and how it harms the environment. Some of the municipalities are starting to trim the roadsides and collect the garbage in the grass, but as fast as it's done, the littering is already well underway again. So lots of public education is needed about what a beautiful island they have and why they should treat it accordingly. But hopefully with time, this can be improved dramatically. Down here, people usually learn from family members or friends how to drive motorbikes, vehicles or trucks. However, 99% of people have never taken proper driving lessons, sat an exam or earned a license. So especially in smaller towns, much of the traffic flow is ruled by body language and eye contact, rather than trusting in signs or traffic lights. In most cases, this actually makes the traffic flow much easier and faster, as Dominicans are not in favor of tons of petty rules and regulations. However, when it does become frustrating is when Jose meets his good friend Franco, and now they will have no qualms holding the traffic up for as long as it takes to finish on a warm note. You can yell and toot your horn till you turn blue in your face, but rarely will it make any difference, as they would rather disrespect you than their good friend they are talking to. When it comes to food down here, never assume that just because it has nice packaging, that it's been quality checked or that it's fresh. Be aware that here there's not the same amount of rules and inspections as you'll find in many other countries, so often shops will try to sell you inferior or outdated food products. I can highly recommend you ask experienced expats as to which shops pride themselves in selling fresh produce and which of them have good freezers and backup generators. Especially the Germans here take their food serious.
I'm down in Sosua with the temperatures high this morning. There's a protest against the local government, backed by the big government, how they're putting closing hours for the tourists and the businesses. They close everything between Sunday and Thursday at 12 midnight. So the tourists, they hardly just got the first drink on the table and they have to be kicked out and go home. Friday, Saturday, they close at 2 in the morning, but still, very, very short hours. And that's different in Cabaretta and many other neighboring towns. So people are not very happy.
About a month after this protest, the municipality slowly started to admit what a financially destructive decision it was to change the hours of the nightlife, and they started giving in to the pressure from the business owners by returning 1 hour per night from the 3 they had actually taken away in the first place. And this is from an already struggling economy. Seems typical for governments, and hopefully one day they'll come to their senses.
Sosúa en lo adelante.
At first when I came here, I thought I could blend in, you know, looking African, looking Dominican, you know, I thought they wouldn't recognize that I'm African American, from America. They wouldn't see that, you know.
So what gave it away?
Well, some things I didn't know and I didn't understand about Dominicans. Number one, Dominicans don't wear shorts. They don't really like them. They think they're sissy clothes, sissy pants. They do not wear tennis shoes as a hold. They don't believe in flip-flops. They wear hard shoes. They don't believe in, you know, white t-shirts like a lot of Americans do. Especially me, African American, we like white t-shirts. It's neutral.
So in which way do you did you then find that you got treated differently when you were spotted?
I got charged more. You know, that's the thing. If you're an American, you're spotted as African American. Automatically, you're here because you have money. Therefore, you're going to pay the going rate. You know, the Dominicans may pay one price, but you know, Americans, African Americans, they're going to pay a higher price. And a lot of people feel it's only fair because they don't have anything that you have, so you might as well share what you have. So you're gonna wind up paying a higher price for everything, you know. But you can walk into any drugstore, you can walk into any gas station and pay the same price. That's not
how
what I'm
long have
talking.
you been here?
I came here for 1 week, 7 days, and I wound up staying six months.
6 months.
A week ago.
That's a heavily extended vacation.
Hey, it's no longer vacation. I don't plan on never leaving. You know.
All right.
Actually, my plan is to stay here the rest of my life. I've sold everything that I have. There's any value to me, and the quality of life here is just off the charts.
Off the charts.
The price you pay. Look, I stay less than a mile from the beach. It's always 75 degrees. Always 75 degrees. Beautiful people. Beautiful sunshine. I pay $350 a month for rent, and I have an apartment that would cost me $900 in North Carolina. You know, and there's not no ceramic tiles. This is ceramic tile floors. It's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place to come and see and visit. You know, paradise is always going to be paradise unless you stay too long.
Thanks for being on the video.
I don't know if I rambled or not, man, but anyway, I enjoyed it. Thank you very much, and I enjoy watching Mr. T videos. You know, I will continue to do that.
Thank you. Gilbert, what a great guy. Now, that's an African American. What about if you're white like me, or only slightly tanned? Well, there's differences down here. If I come to a gated community, they always just seem to open the ramp and let me in. Because foreigners are not known down here to commit burglaries or robberies, so they're not so paranoid about us. So that's on the positive side. Where I get chosen as a victim is if I come driving and they see, oh, he's a foreigner. It comes down to, in my belief, more about there's haves and have-nots. And the have-nots wants what the haves have. So if you have some money or look like you could have some money, then they want to stop you and see if they can get money out of you. The other situation, if I'm buying something, well, then they want to double or triple the price, and I have to barter hard to get the price down. But that happens on all tropical spots, I think. And then the final thing is, if you need something repaired, your motorbike, your cars, I mean, you've got to be very careful. They'll either try to get parts swapped over, or they will try to gouge you on the price. So the more Spanish you speak, the more it's going to help you get the realistic Dominican price in the marketplace. However, remember, it's not a welfare country or welfare state, and therefore people will hustle, and because of the lack of education over the years here, there's a lot of people who will try different tricks to get the money out of you. So you've got to be aware, speak to other foreigners here, learn from them different situations, how to handle it. But if you learn that, you will have a good time. It's all about getting your boundaries right with people, knowing how to say politely, no thanks, and move on, and not get gouged for money. The other frustration down here is customer service. It's not like in North America, Europe, or many other places where if you drop a fork in a restaurant on the floor, they're there straight away to pick it up. Now here you're lucky enough to get the attention for a drink or to pay your bill. So you got to put the effort in. The way they look at it, they are not paid enough to care. I've even heard of people getting the phone numbers of the bar staff, so when they need another drink, they can ring their telephone and say, hey, in the south side over here, I'm a bit thirsty. One thing that could frustrate you is the speed that Dominicans do things at. They're not in a hurry. They live in a country where it's warm all year round, there's plenty of vegetables and fruit and food, so what's the rush? So this can drive us mad because we're used to this fast-paced tempo, and if somebody makes a promise to fix something tomorrow and we turn up 2 o'clock like they said we should, and it's not fixed, we can get upset and frustrated. So down here, to stay sane, it's more about knowing who the right suppliers are, who do work fast and efficient, and then steer your money that way. It's tough in the tropics, but sometimes you just got to stop and relax and treat yourself, or life gets too serious here. A little selfie. I want to break free. Do, 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 do. No, this is not an oversized avocado. This is called an calabaza. Huge fruit here.
With my soul on fire.